You ready to do this, Matt?
I think so. Punch it, Chewie.
Welcome, super friends, to the Fortress of Nerditude podcast, a safe place to talk about all things in nerd and pop culture. I'm Spencer Stapleton, and my co-pilot is Matt Shaw. We're two nerds that just refuse to grow up. Thank you for joining us. This is episode 173. We release every Thursday morning. You can find us on our website, fortofnerd.com. We have links to iTunes, Google Music, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, and everywhere podcasts are available. Stop by and relax a while. If you like what you're hearing, hit that subscribe button and get us automatically each and every week in your ear holes. Matt, welcome to the Shutdown, episode 173. How are you, my brother?
I'm surviving. Day one.
Day one.
Day one.
So, what's been happening since the last time we talked, man?
Well, I think the whole world descended into chaos, but, you know, the last time we spoke, it was kind of the beginning of the end. We had just talked about the end.
Or is it the end of the beginning?
No, well, I don't know. And
There's an amazing Ozzy song. Is this the end of the beginning? Anyway.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week, obviously.
Yeah.
For a whole ton of reasons, affecting all of us very, very intimately. So it's been a week.
Whoa. Not that intimately.
Oh, that intimately.
I'm nervous.
It's been a week.
Yep.
Just some crazy stuff, right? I mean, as I mentioned last week, I think just as a business owner and kind of self-employed, it's a little bit frightening to think about what could happen if people stop buying, then I don't have any money. I don't have a job.
Right.
I don't have
Have you started trying to sell the old wipes and the toilet paper on the Amazons?
I'm not a jerk. So no. Plus, I can't find them even if I wanted to.
I read a great article about someone that was doing that, and eventually Amazon stepped in and shut it down, and eBay was shutting that stuff down. And
yep.
I was just wondering, like, if you've, as a reseller or someone who helps, stores and and companies sell their stuff on Amazon, have you seen like emails from Amazon saying like, we will not tolerate price gouging? Is it gone that deep, or was it more, you think, specific, targeted to those individuals?
It's probably, if there was an email that went out, it would have gone out to companies that are in the categories like household supplies. And right now I don't have anybody that sells in those categories, so we're unaffected. And
okay.
And I think probably unsurprisingly to everybody here, some have taken I would call it a slight hit. They haven't gone to zero or anything, but most have either maintained or grown, because you can't leave. You're going to buy stuff on Amazon. So
it's true.
It would appear that I'll be okay. So we can be thankful for that. But this week was kind of crazy. There was a lot going on, obviously, with this whole coronavirus. But on Saturday this weekend, this is my parents' last weekend here in San Antonio, so we wanted to have some fun. And,
aww, sad.
And SeaWorld sent an email to all the annual pass holders that they were going to close on Sunday. So we went to SeaWorld on Saturday and just kind of hung out with my parents and took Emmy on the rides that she can go on, and looked at the animals and washed our hands profusely and used hand sanitizer liberally and stayed very far away from other humans, which in SeaWorld San Antonio usually isn't that hard to do because there's really not that many people here. But it was actually pretty busy. I was relatively surprised. But so that was fun. And And then on Sunday morning, my parents came by to say goodbye, which, of course, my mom was an emotional wreck, and
Mama Shaw was having a rough time.
she was having a rough time, unsurprisingly. And my dad was like, let's just get out of here. Let's just get out of here, because he doesn't want to feel the emotions that come with this. So he was like, let's go.
Mama Shaw's crying and Papa Shaw's like, let's get the heck out of here.
Rip it off like a Band-Aid. And I'm on his team. I'm like, we got FaceTime. It's all good. Like, we were grateful you guys were here. We're sad to have you go.
Let's be clear. They probably didn't care that they weren't going to see you anymore, but it's Emmy and Lando.
There's definitely truth to that. Probably on my mom's side, she's going to miss Emmy and Lando. But you know, my dad's my business partner, and it was a lot of fun having him around and just to chat with. My dad and I are real close, so that's hard. But and then we had some friends over. Church is canceled for the foreseeable future, so Sunday there was literally nothing to do. So we actually had just like two small families over, and we had our COVID-19 party where we just hung out and had some soup and chatted and had it. We kept it small, everyone. Don't worry. We didn't touch each other. People. We didn't do any of that.
You weren't licking each other's faces and putting your fingers in each other's eyeballs and noses.
Nobody was in the danger zones. No one over the age of 60. Nobody with pre-existing conditions. So no judgments, please. We're doing the best we can.
No one got on Matt's highway to the danger zone. Gonna take it right in through the COVID zone.
And then kind of the only other thing, other than more of this just obsessing over the COVID crap, was we did watch Frozen 2, which Disney so kindly released to all of us really early. And
they pushed it up 3 months, Matt.
Yeah, that was
3 months.
Very nice of them. I'm sure they were doing that to get more subscribers, which I'm sure they had gained.
I actually think that was probably probably had more to do with the stock market and the fact that their stock has been slipping like a lot of companies. But since they made the big announcement that they were closing Disneyland and Disney World, they're like, let's get some positive news out there. Hey, we're going to move up Frozen 2 3 months to Disney Plus so that all you people at home have something to watch.
Right. And watch we did. And watch a lot of families did. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Oh, no kidding.
So
we did.
So we watched Frozen 2 last night with Emmy and Lando. And let me just say this. Look, hot take. Maybe my favorite animated Disney movie of the last 20 years.
All right. Stop this recording now. What the heck?
It was
seriously
absolutely amazing. I loved it. It knocked Frozen out of the water.
Oh, you're crazy. You're crazy.
Oh, man.
I walked out of the theater going, meh, nothing really memorable about the music. And I watched it last night with my kids as well. I was on my phone most of the time, and at one point they said, oh, well, this character is frozen now. And I was like, wait, what's going on? Who did what? And I was like, I don't remember any of this. And my wife looked at me and she's like, are you not watching this? I'm like, nope.
I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was... And Frozen was my favorite prior. So if this is better than Frozen for me, then... I liked the music. I thought the music was great. I thought it was really fun and really funny. And I thought the story was a lot deeper and better. But that's just me. I liked it.
I'll put it to you this way. I walked out of the theater the first time seeing Frozen 2. And I went... I don't think there's anything that's super catchy that's going to catch on. Now, Let It Go, obviously, I don't think anything's going to hit like that did. But, the Love is an Open Door song in Summer, like, there were so many, like, other songs in that movie that I thought were still really good, like, big hits, people were singing and knew the lyrics to. I walked out of that and I was just like, what was the hit? What was the catchy song?
Yeah.
I don't know. Now, there is, I think, one song, just because of the chorus to it, that's going to be an earworm now that I've heard it in my house, but still.
I get it. I would agree with you, I guess. The music isn't as catchy, but I would argue that the music is as good. Just maybe not as catchy. And Into the Unknown is superior to Let It Go in almost every way for me.
How many little girls do you know walking around singing
I didn't
Into
say
the
it
Unknown?
was catchy.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, but usually, like, a big song like that, though, is something that they will use to promote stuff and that they will play it here. Like, Let It Go, I think, was up for, like, an Academy Award.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I can have my own freaking opinion.
No, you're fine.
And good freaking grief. This is a great movie, and you can't bring me down, okay?
You're fine, Last Jedi. You're fine.
Yeah. Hey, hot take, everybody. Last Jedi is the best Star Wars movie, and Frozen 2 is the best Disney animated film. Anyway, but that was it, man. That was the week. Just now we're just quarantined, like literally. I mean, not literally quarantined, but it feels that way. It feels very isolating. So it's nice to talk to someone.
Let me ask you this though. Don't you guys usually stay home all day every day?
Yeah, guys, this is so different for us.
that's what I'm saying. Like, the way you're like, we're like literally quarantined. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, how does this change your day to day?
Yeah, but knowing I can't go.
Yeah,
It's a psychological wreck.
Yes, that's exactly right. It's totally mental, right? It's totally
sucks.
a mental switch for you. I got you.
Sucks.
I got you.
Yeah. How was your week? What's going on with you?
So after we recorded last week and we talked and we had our podcast, a little bit of time went by and my boss's boss, the CIO of my company, basically said, look, here's the deal. We need to start planning for COVID-19. IT is integral to business continuity. We cannot have IT people working in the same offices or same buildings as other IT people. That way, if someone gets hit, someone gets quarantined and is out for like, three-ish weeks, we still have someone else that can be here and available. So I, along with David, who works for me, we work in the same office. So like I've been in that office the entire time. And then when he got on, we put a desk in the office for him. So we share an office now, which is a problem because we can't be in the same place. Our other buildings, it's like a little trailer out at a test site. And then the other one is basically like the old shop that we basically have a metal machine shop in right now. And that's pretty much it. So the bulk of our work is in the main office we're in. So David's an hourly employee. I don't want to send him home to try to work remotely because he has a lot of access to do a lot of things, but he doesn't have full access to do as much remotely as I do. Plus his job requires him, to his job duties and descriptions, has him doing things like imaging computers and fixing printers and, all kind of like the hands-on end user support. I don't need to be there for that. So I am now working from home for the next 30 days. And if there's something where I need to go into the office for some reason, then I'm going to have to like send him over to a different building temporarily, so we're not in the same place. But realistically, with kind of the way this thing spreads, if things are on surfaces, it can like live for a couple hours.
It doesn't even matter.
So like pretty much I'm going to have to work with him completely remotely and then have him do things, which is going to be good and bad in a way. One, it's bad because I like being there and I like being involved and being around the people, and it's easier to interface with people and like figure out what they're trying to do and come up with a solution and start working on the high level plans when I'm there. But the flip side is I'm going to have to just work with David remotely and talk to him over the phone and share my screen with him and walk him through things. So it's going to give me an opportunity to help educate him even more and like raise his level of expertise a little higher during kind of a pressured situation, which is good. That's how a lot of IT people either do one of two things, grow or flame out, one of the two. Yeah. So we're looking for the growth part though here. So I brought home a couple things that I needed, and a couple extra cables and a dock, and I basically sat down in my little area where I record the podcast and where I stream from all day today and worked. And it was an extremely busy day, extremely productive day, but I've spent a lot of time in this chair today. So I'm going to be pulling a Matt Shaw for the next 30 days at least, and
yeah, I know it.
We'll see how this goes. We did watch Frozen 2. We also watched The Lion King, the photorealistic.
Yes, right.
And that was interesting. I only caught maybe like the last third maybe of that movie. And I think that the animated is perfect. I think the animated movie is perfect. I think this was just like, it was good, but it was kind of like, yeah. It's how I felt about The Lion King the musical. Years and years and years ago, I had an opportunity to go see The Lion King the musical, and I remember thinking, well, are they changing a lot? And the people I was going with said, no, not really. They're adding in like one song or something, or two songs. And I went, and it's all the same dialogue, it's all the same songs, and they added like two songs, which actually were songs I think that got cut from the original theatrical release. And I kind of went, okay, the first 5-10 minutes of this musical was fine to see the different kind of costumes and how they did it, but then it's the same story, the same dialogue I've heard probably 100,000 times in my lifetime, and then I just kind of tuned it out and I was bored. I kind of felt the same with this version of the movie.
I get that. The problem is you have to compare it to the original, which the original is arguably the greatest Disney film ever.
Yes.
So that's tough when you compare it. I mean, that's tough. We've watched like I'd say 1/3 of it. Emmy got bored with it. I'm enjoying it still. I still like it. The story is just a good story. So no matter how it's told to me, I'm always going to like it. And I'm always going to feel it when Mufasa, spoiler alert, dies. You're always going to feel it. Anyway.
Yes, I love that line. Jeremy Irons in the animated, I killed Mufasa. Murder! Anyway.
So good.
So yeah, we did that. My wife, Brita, she is working from home for the next at least 2 weeks. So we took the kids to daycare because daycare's still open. School's not. School's canceled, but daycare's open. So we took the kids to daycare since we're paying for it. And we both worked from home. That was kind of weird. Like I came up for lunch at like around 12:45, almost 1 o'clock. And I was like, I'm going to make a sandwich. And Brita was there. She's like, oh, I'll have lunch too. I was like, wow, this is the first time we've had lunch together on a work day ever. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So that was good. In-laws left this last week after watching the kids while we were in Hawaii. Other than that, I haven't played any video games. I didn't really play anything after we got back because like I did a bunch of shopping this weekend. Like I had to brave the stores to try to find stuff because we were low on a lot of stuff. We don't keep a lot of stuff like stocked up.
Yeah, you're a regular person.
Yeah, and I was like, we got enough toilet paper.
Yeah. And
then I was like, well, I'm going to be home for the next 30 days, and Brita's going to be home for at least the next 2 weeks. And I was like, well, we're going to be home more than we usually are, so we'll
run through some.
We'll go through a little bit more than usual. So I braved Costco and got one package of toilet paper, which is totally fine. Like I'm now it's like, okay, well, I'm not worried. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And we had some neighbors pick us up some potatoes because we couldn't find those, and we had some neighbors give us some flour because we were out of flour.
Gosh.
I managed to find some sugar, but like I'll tell you something, Matt, that I've been really impressed by is the generosity of neighbors. So like we have this like Facebook group for kind of like our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And people are just like, hey, I'm at the store right now. If you're missing anything or you need something because of this kind of craziness and this kind of run on certain items at the grocery store, let me know. And I just kind of said, hey, we don't have flour and we could use some potatoes if you see anything. And this lady in the neighborhood says, hey, I've got bags of red and yellow. I said, if you don't mind, one of each, because we can toss those in with some, meat that I got to make some stews and, just roast up whatever to kind of help, make some bigger meals that we can, eat off of for a few days. And she's like, yeah, no problem. Sure. And then I had, someone said like, hey, we've got 2 bags of flour It just went out of date like a week ago.
Right.
Do you want it? I said, if you don't care, we'll take it, because a week past date, like, if it's like a year and a half past,
maybe
okay,
be careful, right?
maybe. But like a week or two past, not a bad deal. So we got 2 bags of flour that way. And then someone else in our neighborhood said, hey, I was only able to pick up 2 bags of flour yesterday, but I'll give you one. And I said, no, someone else found some for us. No, thank you. Like, I didn't want to take, like, someone's like, I only got 2. I'll give you one. I was like, it was so touching. And I was like, I appreciate it. Thank you. But no, hold on to it. And then someone else was like, yeah, I bought a whole ton and this. And I was like, okay, well, if you've got lots and you have one extra, I was like, we'll pay you for that. And so,
right.
But I also went and did shopping for like my mom, because my mom, she came down with a little stomach bug. And so she doesn't have the coronavirus.
Right.
Not at all. But her and her husband kind of are in that, getting into that high risk category. Yeah. And so she was just like, I called her up and I said, hey, do you need anything? I'm here. And she's like, yeah, I'm not feeling well enough. I can't get out right now. And so I picked her up a number of things and then went over and delivered them to her. And so I've been very impressed with just like neighbors and family member. And, it seems like on the whole, you see this overarching picture of just like, everyone cramming to get to, the stores to get the wipes and the disinfectants and the toilet paper and the flour and the sugar and the water and whatever. But then like on local levels, you hear stories of like people like going in, like, taking money from an old lady in a car in a parking lot 'cause she doesn't want to go in, and going in buying groceries for her and coming back with the change and the groceries and loading it in, or neighbors that are volunteering saying like, I only have 2 of this. I could only get 2, but I'll give you 1. Like things like that are just examples of humanity at its best in a time that it could demonstrate the worst of humanity. So
absolutely agree.
It's been kind of nice, but that's kind of my week. We're just hunkering down. We're going to work remotely and hang out and just try to stay away from people, help knock down that curve and, slow the spreads, do our part. So I've never felt more civic in a long time.
Yeah, I hear ya.
Right? I mean, like there's part of me, it's like, yeah, I'm staying home. Yeah, it's an inconvenience, but I'm trying to slow the spread and stop what I'm can. I'm like, man, it's a good feeling.
I agree.
You know what else, Matt? It's a really good feeling.
Oh, please tell me killing things.
Killing them bothans for that rebel intelligence.
Yes.
So let me ask you, Matt, is there a special way that you would like to feel
There's
good
only one
tonight?
Way. There's only one way. Is we take all of the coronavirus molecules and cells and whatever else that there is, and we infect them with it so that it dies there.
So we've infected the bothans, then we've killed them.
Yeah, we burned them just to make sure that they died.
We're not going to get like a walking bothan zombie type of thing here.
No, but that would be a show that I would watch.
I always have to let you know, many bothans died to bring us this information.
Rest in peace, you bothans.
All right, Matt. We are avoided the Walking Dead zombie bothan apocalypse, and we're into Rebel Intelligence.
Yay.
What do you have for me this week?
Well, let's just get the bad news out. Bad news out of the way, because there's a lot of bad news, y'all, but we're a positive podcast, and we're going to talk about the good things, too, and we're going to try to keep the coronavirus negativity to a minimum. We know it's affecting all of our lives, so it's unavoidable that we'll talk about it. However, we're going to try to remain as positive as possible. So, with that said, this has been a big week for news, and it's all bad. Pretty much. We're going to try and put some positive spin on it, but this is all kind of bad news. Netflix, Warner Brothers, Apple, and Amazon are all halting production on a myriad of series. Anything from CW's Riverdale, which I watch, Batwoman, Supergirl, Epix's Pennyworth, Netflix's Lucifer, and Stranger Things have all been put on hold. And then you can expect more. Apple Plus has put holds on their new season of See, Servant, For All Mankind, Amazon's Wheel of Time, Carnival Row, and Amazon has just updated today and said the Lord of the Rings series has been put on hold as well. So there's a real good chance that your favorite series has probably been put on hold, or something you've been looking forward to has been put on hold. Includes things from Disney Plus as well. Some of those shows we talked about last week have been put on hold, or production is halted. So we can expect those to be on hold for who knows how long. Just like everything else with this virus in the world we live in right now, who knows? There are no answers right now, and that's what's frustrating. But there you go. Most of these shows are on hold.
All right, well, I'm going to do my half of the on hold stuff then. We're going to jump over onto the Disney Universal kind of theme. So the Jurassic World Dominion movie, Flint Strong, and the upcoming Billy Eichner comedy on the Universal side is being shut down.
I didn't know there was a Billy Eichner
comedy. Yeah,
I love Billy Eichner. He's hilarious.
Shut down.
No, nothing can stop Billy.
On the Disney side, The Little Mermaid.
Oh, yeah.
Shrunk, which is kind of the new Honey, I Shrunk the Kids series.
No,
plus
Rick.
The Home Alone reboot, Peter Pan and Wendy, Shang-Chi have all been shut down. So a lot of this stuff is going to be, Disney Plus. And we talked last week about the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Mulan got pushed back. I think we talked about that. I don't remember if we did or not.
I don't think we did. I don't think it had been pushed back yet.
So obviously Mulan was just literally getting to release.
Yeah.
But they wanted to do a big red carpet in China, and obviously that wasn't going to happen. Nope. And so it got pushed back, and New Mutants is being pushed back.
Yeah.
Matrix 4 and the new The Batman is all being pushed back and delayed. And then there's a few other movies that have actually been filmed. So they're it's not delaying filming, but the movie studios don't want to release movies right now because they know no one's going to go see them. And when you make a movie, they make their money on these movies in the theaters on opening weekend. And if you're saying hey, most of the country shut down, the president's suggesting not to gather more than 10 people in a place, restaurants, bars, gatherings, all these places are shutting down. Movie theaters, no one's going to be attending movie theaters. It's going to be very, very low. So,
yep.
So there's some other movies that are supposed to be coming out right now that are, being shuffled back and kind of put on hold. I'm actually worried about some video games. I don't have any news articles here, but there's video games that are supposed to be released pretty soon, like the Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is supposed to be April 10th.
That's been pushed back already.
Yeah, I mean, it's been pushed back once, but then that first section of that game that they're releasing may be done, so that may still release on time. But The Last of Us 2, which is scheduled at the end of May, and there's been articles lately about how their company right now is in crunch time trying to finish this thing.
Right.
And now I'm gonna guess it's not gonna be long before we hear, hey, we've had to send people home. We're working in shifts. We're trying to, do what's right for the health of everyone. And I won't surprise me if that game gets delayed. Also, it won't surprise me if the Xbox Series X and PS5 at the end of the year gets delayed because of parts and labor, and
that would be bad. That would be really bad for them.
If it pushes past the holiday season, I don't know what they do. But
you're screwed. You have to release this holiday, or you miss out on Christmas shopping. That would be bad.
You think they delay a whole year?
No, that's why it's going to come out this holiday.
I don't know.
It's going to.
Anyway, that's my delay shutdown news.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Way to bring us down, man. Let me bring us down a little further with my next tidbit.
Okay.
As if that wasn't enough, Disneyland, Disney World, and Disneyland Paris have all closed.
Yep.
And it all happened kind of bam, bam, bam. it all kind of trickled right after we recorded last week. Wednesday night was like the NBA hit that threshold where they closed it, and then Thursday stock market went bam and everything shut down, including Disney parks. So Disney parks across the world are closed. I believe, I don't fact check me on this, there's part of like Hong Kong that's open and they're checking temperatures as people walk in, but that's it. Everything else is closed across the world.
Can I tell you something that I did with the Disney? So Breed and I have talked for a long time that we want to start putting some money into the stock market eventually. And we said the first thing we wanted to buy was we wanted to buy a share or two of Disney because we just want, for the novelty of saying we own Disney, because Disney's a brand and a product and a company that we use. And so I feel like it's probably a good idea to invest in stuff you use. Like, I wouldn't go invest in like Philip Morris. Right. I don't smoke. I don't really support smoking. I'm not going to put money in Philip Morris, right? But I said, okay, let's put a little bit of money. So I opened up an E-Trade account a little while ago, and I put some money over there, and I've just been waiting. And as the stock market started going down, and then our friend Bob Iger stepped down to try to, time that to lessen that hit, and Bob Chapek, it's been coming down, and I got to a point I said, man, if this stock drops below $100, I'm going to be able to actually buy like a share for me, one for Brita, and one for each of the boys. I was like, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then it dropped under $100. I'm like, I'm going to buy. And so I bought, and I got it at like a low it hasn't been at for a long time.
Yep.
And then the next day, it dropped down like another $4 or $5. Now, I'm investing this money long term.
Yeah, when it's long term, it doesn't matter that much.
I'm not looking for, day trading, and I'm not putting in like tens of thousands of dollars. Like, I literally bought us one share each when it got under $100. So you can do the math and realize I'm not talking about all that much.
No.
And then Brita called me. She said, it's dropped quite a bit, right? I said, yeah, and it looks like it may drop a little bit more. And she said, should we put a little bit more money in? Not like crazy, but like a little bit. I said, sure. So I took some more money out of our checking account, and I dumped some more money in, and I own like 12 shares of Disney now.
That's awesome.
And I was just like, it's fine because it's a long-term investment, and it's the first time we're kind of doing this. But I know that where I bought it at and where it's been at prior to all this kind of craziness, I'm going to end up gaining an extra probably $50 or more dollars a share onto my 12 shares. And I was like, not a bad little, it'll be a nice little windfall for a small little investment that over time can maybe grow some. So
yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm glad to hear people putting money into it and not pulling out in panic. So
yep. But
people, put money in the stock market if you can.
But I'll tell you something here that's a positive of this, right?
Okay.
So Disney's prices are kind of dropping. Everyone's kind of dropping the stock market. People are starting to panic. We talked about how Disney Plus and Disney moved up Frozen to 3 months.
Yeah, crazy.
To basically say like, hey, you're going to be stuck at home. Let's get this to you earlier. Well, they also did this with the Rise of Skywalker. They moved that up by a couple of months. You can now go purchase Rise of Skywalker on any of the streaming platforms, Amazon Video, Google Play, Vudu, iTunes. You can't get physical copies, but if you want to buy it in digital, and if you want to stream it in 4K, you can go buy that now early, so not only you can watch Frozen 2 1,000 times with your kids, but you can watch Rise of Skywalker 1,000 times and be disappointed by the fact that they dropped the ball 1,000 times. Or if you happen to not agree with us, maybe you'll love it 1,000 times and think we're crazy. I don't care. I love the idea that Disney said, look, 2 big properties. Let's try to do something positive, move some timelines up. It's not going to cost them anything.
Right.
To try to do some positive spin, some positive news, and try to give something to the consumers to look forward to. I think that's a great idea.
I agree, and I think these kinds of things will continue. I think we may see some more things like that. Unfortunately, Rise of Skywalker was only moved up 4 days, but still, it was better because I bought it that night. Right when I saw it on Saturday, I was like, well, I know I'm going to buy it, and I'm past physical copies as much as I want to have physical copies. It's just not convenient anymore for me.
Yeah.
So I bought it. Haven't watched it yet. I can't bring myself to watch it. I watched the first 5 minutes and started going, oh my gosh, like, What could have been? Jesse, I'm like, man, Jess, I'm sorry. Because in the movie theater, I can't talk.
Yeah.
But when it's not movie theater, I can just go, that's stupid. Or that's awesome. And I'm not going to say it's all stupid because it's not. I did pick up on something. It's like, oh, well, there's Cloud City. I didn't actually pick that up the first time because I was so pissed off that they were light speed skipping because that's the dumbest thing ever.
Yep.
Oh, here they are. Anyway, we're not talking about Rise of Skywalker this week.
Let me tell you something really funny that I completely forgot to tell you during the week updates to change the topic, and then we can keep moving.
Yes.
So the other day, the kids are upstairs playing Mario Kart. And Charlie and Jackson, Charlie mainly, I don't think they understand the concept of inside voices. Because they were like yelling at each other. Like they're not like angry, but they're just like yelling at each other, yelling at the screen. They're like super, super loud. So I've got a Google Home up there, and there's some Google Homes throughout the house. And I pick up my phone and I say hello to this device. I'm not going to say it now because my phone will go off.
Yeah, so will my Google Home.
And then I tell it to broadcast a message, and it says, "What's the message?" And I said, "Boys, stop yelling. I can hear you all the way downstairs. Google can hear you. We are tired of you yelling at us." And then all of a sudden, like, I heard it page through the house, and then I heard the boys get deathly quiet. It went silent. And I was like, I wonder what's going on. And I walked up there, and I heard Charlie say, "I'm sorry, Google."
That's so awesome.
It was so awesome. And then I walked in, I was like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Daddy, you and Google told me to be quiet." And I was, because I could hear Google like still talking. I could see Charlie was asking stuff. And he was trying to apologize to Google and say,
that's funny.
"Can you tell my daddy I'm sorry?"
Oh,
and Google kept saying, "I'm sorry, but I can't do that right now." And he's like, "I'm sorry, Google." Like he thought so Google's like, "No, I'm angry at you. I'm not doing this." Anyway.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was
That
cute.
is fun. That's fun, and that's
What
cute.
else do you got?
I've just got another quick silver lining, because we're trying to keep it positive.
Yeah.
Thinking about the Disney closures to the parks.
Oh, yeah.
The positive that I think that there potentially could be, and probably is, that there's a lot of construction at all the Disney parks, but particularly at Disney World. And I think the opportunity and Marvel phase, whatever at Disneyland, the rumor on the street is that construction is not going to stop and will not be interrupted, and that all projects will either be pushed ahead of schedule or at least meet their deadlines. So that's a silver lining to what's going on, is when the parks do reopen, it will be even prettier and better than ever before. So your wildest dreams will come true.
Nice.
Did you just do yours?
I've got one more.
I've got one more too.
Okay. I'll do my last one. You do your last one then.
Okay.
So, right, everything's shutting down. We know that sports are getting shut down, but you know what else is getting shut down? High school activities.
Yeah.
High school sports, high school gatherings, including for a lot of people like high school musicals and plays. And so there's an actress, Laura Benatti, who is a Tony Award-winning Broadway star. She put a call out on Instagram and Twitter this last week or weekend, and she said, listen, for any like high school kids, like theater kids, if they wanted to share videos of their canceled high school musical performances with her, all they had to do was like tag her on it, and that she would watch them and share them out. And she basically said, like, look, and I'm going to quote her, says, and this may sound silly, but I know that a lot of high schools were going to have their musicals, and those musicals got canceled. And that is a bummer, because I know for so many of us, I know for me, my high school musical was a lifesaver. So if you would like to sing a song that you are not going to get to sing now and tag me, I want to see you. I want to hear you. And so music teachers and high school kids started tagging her and tagging with there was a hashtag Sunshine Songs, and she was like, retweeting them, and like all these opportunities for like these high school kids that maybe might have sung to a couple thousand people in their local communities are now being seen by millions of people on Twitter and having this, wonderful, uplifting, heartwarming moments seeing all this, right? And then, of course, my buddy, Lin-Manuel Miranda, the author of Hamilton, he chimed in too, and he said basically that he was going to share a never-before-heard cut song from Hamilton, and he did that. Rita Wilson has been sharing her Quarantunes playlist online. The musician Lizzo shared a guided meditation to help alleviate fans' anxiety. And then, of course, I shared this over the weekend. There's videos of like whole neighborhoods in Italy with people getting out on their balconies and singing songs together, singing anthems together. I saw a video of like these fighter jets in Italy where they were playing a Pavarotti's, I can't think of the name, but anyway, like this other jet flew right at them, and then these jets started streaming the red, white, and green colors of the Italian flag, and they painted the big sky in it. Like, I love hearing and seeing these positive things where people are just trying to make the most of it, and to see celebrities getting in on this. I think you mentioned that some of the sports stars, the NBA guys, were doing stuff, right?
Mark Cuban was the one who started this, who is Shark Tank famous, but he owns the Dallas Mavericks, and he said, I'm going to pay everybody who would be working an NBA game. I'm going to pay them what their wages are. And then you started to see all around the country owners participating, but mostly it's actually been players. So your local Utah Jazz, Rudy Gobert, who started this whole coronavirus celebrity thing, he gave $500,000 and said, I'm going to pay everybody for the rest of the NBA season. And a whole bunch that just has rippled across different sports and things of kind of those that have helping those that may not have as much. Right. And you're right. There's a lot of inspiring things going on. And regardless of how you feel politically about the administration in the United States, there was a great press conference on Friday that was really uplifting, and it kind of showed everybody coming together despite political affiliation with Walmart and Google and Target, CVS, Walgreens. They were all there with the president and talking about their plan to stop this, and the stock market reacted so positively. And so hopefully we can continue to have positivity throughout what really amounts to be just a really crappy situation.
Yep.
And we hope that we kind of learn from what Italy's going through, because they're in real dire straits right now.
Right. Yep.
And I got one more thing for you.
Hit it up.
So, you like Mario.
I love Mario.
Come on. I like Lego enough.
Yeah.
I think most people like Lego. They've married, and they've created a really weird baby. Like, really weird. So, they kind of teased this a few days ago that there was going to be a collab between Nintendo and Lego. And I was excited because I kind of like having little Lego accessories in my nerd areas. Star Wars ones are on my keychains. And so I was thinking it was something like that. Ladies and gentlemen, I was very wrong. This is, it's hard to explain. You're going to have to go to YouTube and just type in Mario Lego to understand what I'm talking about. But it's not a 2-size Lego, like a regular Lego set. Like, Mario is larger. If you have any kids that have like the larger Lego sets, I think they're called like duplex or whatever, the larger Lego kinds.
Duplos?
Yes. It's about that size. So they're larger, and they're actually little Mario sets. And there's like, I don't know, there's like 6 or 7 it looks like. And Mario actually has like LED or LCD or whatever they call it, like eyes and like a stomach, and you like play with him and you build like a Mario course, and he can like jump over things. Like the piranha plant falls down into like a pipe, and you jump over that and you get coins, and
weird.
It plays music at the end when you get to the flag. And so it's totally unlike anything that I'm aware of that Lego has ever done. And it's also probably the most disappointed I've been in something I wanted to be cool. It's definitely for kids, guys.
Okay.
It's definitely for kids. It's not like, because Lego, you have the Millennium Falcon, which costs, $700 and has like a bazillion pieces. No, this is very simple, very cute, very fun for kids. So don't expect to be building, Peach's castle from Mario 64, because that's not going to happen.
You do have to look forward to for next week, though?
I have so much to look forward to starting on Friday. I know that.
Ooh, what's on Friday?
Animal Crossing and Doom Eternal, man.
Okay, I thought that was next week. No, Animal Crossing's New Horizon, right?
Yeah, baby. I can't wait. I pre-ordered 2 copies, guys. One for me, one for Jesse.
Oh, that's right, yeah. I'm on the fence, Matt. After the podcast, you're going to have to talk to me about it, because I kind of think I kind of want it to give it a try and see, but
it's the ultimate quarantine game. Like, I could not picture a better quarantine game. I'm just smiling. I'm grinning ear to ear. And then being able to switch between that and Doom Eternal, it's like the most innocent and cutest game ever versus like pulling arms off demons and shoving them down their throats and watching them explode.
All right, let's talk later. All right, Matt, I am out on Rebel Intelligence. Are you done?
I'm out as well, but I do have a bonus. Usually you have the bonus. I've got a surprise for you.
Get it up with the bonus. Look at you.
So we talked about movie theaters. We talked about people releasing content early. Yeah. Universal has announced, with at least 3 movies, Trolls World Tour, The Hunt, and Invisible Man will be made available early on home entertainment. Okay. So those movies just released, or they are about to release in April with the Trolls movie.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to debut early April, and then on the 10th, it says that they are going to make it available for you to watch at home. It's going to cost like at a movie theater. It's going to cost like $20 for you to rent it. But basically, they're saying we are going to let you watch some of our movies without having to go to the movie theater. You can watch it at home.
Oh, there were some services that used to do that back in the day. That would be kind of cool if they found a way to start doing that with some of these bigger releases.
Yep. So you get it for 48 hours. We don't have a whole lot of details on this, what movies and how long this is going to happen. But we do know that there will be 4 or 5 movies that you will be able to watch at home if we want to.
That's a cool idea.
You don't got to bring your kids. I think it's a great idea.
You said April 10th?
Something like that. The dates, it says the initiative will kick off with DreamWorks. Yeah, Animation's Troll World Tour, which is scheduled to debut on April 10th. The company will also make films that are currently available in theaters on demand starting as early as March 20th. That includes The Hunt, The Invisible Man, as well as Emma, the Jane Austen adaptation. So, like I said, I think we're going to continue to see people taking advantage of streaming and anything online. I mean, Amazon's hiring 100K workers, they announced today. So I think online is the future.
Well, I think you're probably right there. Yeah, we're kind of there. All right. So thank you for the bonus, Matt. I appreciate that. Last week we had a movie club. We went back in time and we went back and watched the second of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, as we're kind of doing these retro movie clubs. And we watched The Two Towers, and our question of the week was kind of simple. We said, what is your favorite storyline going through Peter Jackson's Two Towers? Is it the Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli? Is it the Merry Pippin? Or is it the Sam, Frodo, Gollum? And we got a few answers, and we're going to hit those up real quick because we got other stuff to do tonight. But we're going to start over on email like we always do at fortofnerd@gmail.com, and we're going to start with Peter Christensen. Peter says, Dear Nerds, greetings from the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak in America. Okay. Everyone that can is working from home. It's easy to get movie tickets to a kids' movie on a Saturday morning, and our family is already going crazy. One day into the 6-week school closure the governor announced this week. So I'll have lots of movie watching to report on in the coming weeks. Given what's going on here, I don't blame the people of Utah for raiding the stores. Utah is very culturally and economically tied to the West Coast, so they're next in line. Spencer, you sound like every insufferable Howley that just took his first trip to Hawaii. I mean, Hawaii. Trust me, I see the symptoms every time I look in the mirror. For anyone going to Hawaii, I +1 the recommendation for the Shaka Guides app for self-guided driving tours. There were lots of chickens in Maui as well, although they were more like raccoons living in the cities. I'm telling you, everywhere,
Weird.
Peter. Everywhere. Top of the food chain, those things over on Kauai. I don't assume that the Gaston prequel will be bad, but I don't have any expectations that it'll be good either. Few characters in any movie have been summed up so completely by one song. I'm not looking forward to the MCU in 15 years when they're out of ideas and showing young Ronan the Accuser getting bullied by non-fanatic Kree. That's pretty good. We saw Sonic the Hedgehog this week, and it was a very good kids movie. I put it with Ferdinand and Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle as pleasant surprises and evidence that good movie making is spreading beyond Pixar and the MCU. Like I said, I thought the Sonic movie was better than I anticipated, and it really was a very good Jim Carrey movie.
I want to see it.
We also saw Onward this morning, and it's a very good, if formulaic, Pixar movie. The modern fantasy world setting is fun, and Chris Pratt and Tom Holland are exactly like you expect them to be. I think the determining factor in liking the movie is how much you like Chris Pratt's various characters. It's hard to say the most emotionally resonant part without spoiling, so I'll just say a solid B+ Pixar movie that may not have the same wide appeal as other Pixar movies. I really want to see Onward.
I do too.
I don't know how that's going to happen right now with the coronavirus.
I know. I feel bad for it. The timing could not have really been worse.
First world problems, though, right?
Yeah. Literally.
We also finished watching The Office the first time, and it is now officially part of our TV canon. We totally dismissed it through its heyday because season 1 was so painful and we weren't Steve Carell fans at that point. We didn't realize how popular it was. It's probably more popular than all of our other shows, 30 Rock, Parks and Rec, Community, How I Met Your Mother, etc. And second only to Friends. Ugh. It was also fun seeing memes come to life. My kids love memes, and I find new ones every day to show them, and The Office is lapping the field in meme creation. That is true. I have nothing to add with what you guys said about the Two Towers. It was and is amazing. The battle for Helm's Deep is perfect. The battle for Minas Tirith in Return of the King is bigger, but it almost feels like too much, and the best part of it is the arrival of Theoden and the Riders of Rohan, making the case that the Rohirrim are the MVP of the trilogy. My favorite storyline is Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas. They get the most action and are the most heroic. Merry and Pippin is like an essay on action versus inaction in the face of evil, and Frodo's Sam Gollum is a deep look at the struggle within every person. But as previously mentioned, Helm's Deep is a Hall of Fame scene, so I have to go with that one. Cheers, Peter Christensen.
Nice.
I gotta say, I loved his breakdown where he says, like, Merry and Pippin, essay on inaction versus inaction and evil, and then the Frodo Sam Gollum is like a deep look into the struggle within every person. Because really that's what Tolkien's writing was. And that's what those storylines, kind of mirror. But sometimes you just have to kind of hear that to be reminded of that again and to kind of see that laid out. And I thought that was done very well, Peter.
Yes.
I can't disagree with pretty much anything you said in this entire email, which is good.
I never disagree with you, Peter. Never.
Oh, we'll see. All right, going over to Twitter, @FordofNerd. We've got Pathetic Liz Stan #1 @WhiteRoses1999. So many great, intricate, psychological, and emotional scenes in the Sam, Frodo, Gollum story. Brilliant Gollum-Smeagol convo and Sam's some good in this world. These and others were so well done and acted that the Two Towers deserved the Oscar, in my opinion. So @WhiteRoses1999 is going with the Sam, Frodo, Gollum storyline.
Understandable. There's so much weight in what they're doing. I mean, the whole weight
Yep.
of the story is in what they're doing, and also correct. That movie should look. The Two Towers is perhaps I always make the anyway. We talked about it for like an hour and a half that night. It is in the top. It has to be in the top 3 greatest movies ever made for me. It's so good and so. Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyway, go on. Moving on.
All right, we're gonna go over to Instagram for the last one here, and we're on Instagram. Ford of Nerd on Instagram. Pip Wink. This happens to be our mother-in-law.
Oh,
this is
yeah.
Chris. She says, Merry and Pippin. I hate the Gollum, Sam, and Frodo story. So
gosh.
depressing. It's hard to watch, even as many times as I've seen it. I still get anxiety watching it. Merry and Pippin provide some hope and humor in a very, very dark part of the story.
Okay.
Which is kind of interesting because, like, that's true. So I obviously picked one of kind of, every one of the stories here because they all highlighted different reasons. And that is true. Like, there's not a lot of humor in this movie. And you get a little bit of it with the Gimli-Legolas dynamic, especially around the Helm's Deep stuff, which almost felt a little too much. It felt almost a little too forced there, but it wasn't in your face enough that I'd say like it felt forced, but it was just teetering very precariously on the nope, you've gone too far. But the nice thing about the Merry Pippin scenes is that these hobbits are super lighthearted. Like, hobbits in general are very lighthearted, and they look at things differently, and they love good humor. And Merry and Pippin are essentially teenagers. They're younger than Frodo. They're not the same age. They're a little younger than Frodo. So essentially, to hobbits, they're kind of like teenagers in their late teen years. I remember when I was in my late teen years, I didn't take much seriously at all. And here they are in this war of power between, Sauron, Saruman, and the whole, Middle Earth. And they're cracking jokes, and they're having a good time, and they're concerned about who's taller than who. It is some levity in a very dark movie.
Yep. I agree with that, too. I agree with all of it. Everyone's right.
Everyone's right. No one's wrong in this instance. So, thank you so much, Super Friends, for your answers this week. I kind of did do a little cherry picking to take one of each, but I appreciate you taking the time out of your day, evening, morning, whenever it was, to write us in. Matt, how can the Super Friends give us a hand this week as we're all hunkered down for the coronavirus?
So let's spread positivity this week, y'all. Everybody you see, smile and wave. Ask how they're doing. Don't get too close, though. But smile, wave, and ask how they're doing. It's healthy to have these interactions. It's tough to think about isolating ourselves like this, but when you go outside to take out the trash and you see your neighbor, just wave, say hi, ask how they're doing and how they're coping, and be a source of light. Do the next right thing, in the words of Frozen 2, okay? Just do the next right thing.
Nice.
And also listen, and it's whatever, the normal stuff. Listen
Reviews,
to
podcasts,
tell your friends,
tell a friend.
Give us all the stars, and we'll make you happy, and whatever. All that stuff.
All right, Matt. So, I thought it'd be a lot of fun. We've covered some of this ground in the past on some of these things, but since we're talking about being kind of confined to homes, staying away from public places, one of the best things about this is it's going to be a good time for a lot of people to do some binge watching and stream stuff.
It is.
I thought you and I could give a bunch of recommendations for very binge-worthy streamable shows to help out the Super Friends so that they're not sitting at home saying, gee, new Animal Crossing's New Horizons not out yet. I don't have Final Fantasy VII Remake yet. I need something to watch to kind of help pass the time or to keep on in the background while I'm working so that I've got something going on. So I thought we can come to the rescue here. We can put on our tights and our capes and come to the rescue of the Super Friends.
No.
Too bad. It's happening.
Yes, cape, no tights.
Hey, man. Batman wore tights.
Yeah, he did. I loved this idea. I thought of a couple. I think we kind of approached this in semi-different ways as we normally kind of do.
Yeah, always.
And I separated mine into really two. You could call it three, but I'm going to go with two categories. One category I put as like darkish, apocalyptic type shows. If you want to really live in the moment, right? You want to. It feels like we're in a movie. Let's get real. It feels kind of like we're in a movie. Yep. So I went with some shows that make you feel like, wow, we're living in this kind of a dark, like kind of frustrating, weird, creepy situation. Then I went with everything else that kind of makes you happy. And then I have like my holy trinity of shows that are always good to binge.
So I approached this and I went, okay, let me give a handful of recommendations from some of the main streaming platforms. So Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, CBS All Access, NBC, Peacock. I mean, I know it's not really there yet, but NBC shows. Right. And I kind of went, and then like some Fox stuff, because some people are going to have some services, some are going to have others. And so I've got a long list, and I will say there's only 2 shows on my list that I haven't watched. Every other show I've watched every episode.
Okay.
Okay, let me take it back. I've watched everything on here except for 2 shows, and except for an addition of 1 other show, because the ridiculous amount of episodes there are, I've seen everything else of everything else, basically.
Okay.
And I'll tell you the one that I kind of stopped midway through and I never finished, but I highly recommend it, and I'm probably going to get back to it. So.
Okay, so do you want to say where they can stream them as well on this?
Yeah, I think that'd be handy. I think that'd be real helpful.
As helpful, if you can think of it. Okay.
If you can. Yep.
So, how do you want to start this? How do you want to talk about this?
Pick something, tell why it's streamable or why you think it's streamable, where it is.
I'm going to start with the darkness.
Okay.
Not the darkness, but...
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to stream with you again.
Situation here, and I'm going to go with... I'm going to start with The 100.
Okay.
This show I have not finished yet.
Okay.
Jesse and I started this a few years ago. It has a lot of seasons. It has like 6 seasons or something like that. Whatever. Anyway, this show is on the CW, I think. And usually I don't associate the CW with anything great, but this show is really, really great. The idea is that the Earth had been poisoned, basically, and you couldn't live there anymore. Okay. So they all took off in their spaceships, and they've been living up in this space station for a long period of time. And they're going to send people down to see if it's safe to inhabit now. And they select 100. And that is why it's called The 100. They're basically sending prisoner children. That's kind of messed up, but that's what they're doing. So
kind of like a live action of WALL-E, but with a more adult kind of spin on it.
Yes.
Okay.
So they're sending down these 100 to see if the Earth is safe. And boy, do they run into... It is... The first like 3 seasons are just good, so bingeable, so...
Where can we
Netflix.
Stream it? Netflix, okay.
Yeah, Netflix has The 100, at least Netflix.
Okay, The 100. All right, so my first one that I thought of is pretty much brand new, just released at the end of the year on Netflix, The Witcher. If you loved Game of Thrones, if you love kind of that medieval idea, this has got sword and sorcery. It is fantastic. The main character, Geralt, is a witcher. He's kind of been mutated and worked on a little bit, so he has a little bit of magical abilities, but basically his role is to hunt down monsters and kill monsters that have slipped into this ethereal plane in this world, and he kills them for coin. And his storyline runs in with Yennefer of Vengerberg, who is a sorceress, and then also the young girl Ciri. It's only 8 episodes. It's based off books. They've made video games out of this. It's got Henry Cavill in it. It's got a dang catchy tune. I highly recommend it. It's really good. However, adult audiences only.
Yeah, it's quite mature.
It's mature. Adult audiences don't watch this with kids. But it is fantastic. It kind of scratches that itch. If you liked Game of Thrones, I think you're going to like The Witcher. It's on Netflix. Go check it out.
All right, the next one I have, again, I'm going to stick straight with my apocalyptic end of times. I'm going to go with The Walking Dead, the first few seasons.
Okay, that's a good one.
This show really drags as you get further and further, but the first few seasons were really, really, really great.
Yep.
And if you haven't seen them, now is kind of a creepy time to start watching The Walking Dead if you want to really live in this moment of this apocalyptic feeling.
That's Netflix also, right?
That's Netflix also. And obviously The Walking Dead, if you don't know what The Walking Dead is about, you've been living under a rock.
Also, I'll say this about The Walking Dead. What's really cool is it's less about the zombie part of it, but more about what choices the human makes after the zombie apocalypse starts. And that is a really interesting take.
Yep, that's why the first few seasons are the best, because I think that's where a lot of that happens. What choices the people have to make. It's great. It's really great. I haven't watched it in like 3 years because I got really turned off by a certain episode and I can never go back.
Yep, me too. I know exactly where you stopped.
The first few seasons were great.
Negan.
Oh,
okay.
Gosh, I relive it in my head
and
it makes me want to throw up. When Negan shows up, everybody, just stop watching. Trust me. You'll never go to sleep again after you see it.
Okay, my next one. Star Trek Discovery / Picard. Okay. So this is on CBS All Access.
I forgot about Picard.
That's because it's actually currently running right now.
Yeah, that's right.
The first 2 seasons of Star Trek Discovery are there. You can binge them, you can stream them, and then you can get into the Picard, which I haven't started Picard yet. But Star Trek Discovery for me was great because it'd been a long layoff since a Star Trek show. And the first 6 episodes of that first season's really good. They establish kind of the world that they're building, because this takes place about 10 years before the original series with Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. And then in that 7th episode, something happens and it changes. It's just this turning point where it changes that whole first season. Everything you think you knew isn't exactly what you knew. Everything changes, and then it's off to the races. The storyline just explodes with drama and these amazing possibilities of what could potentially happen, and they keep you guessing all throughout it. The second season's more of the same. Highly recommend Star Trek Discovery. I have not yet seen Picard. However, I've heard great things about it. I'm not watching it because I don't want to watch it one at a time.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to stream and binge it all. But it's been going now for a little while. I'd probably say there's probably 6 or 7 episodes. So by the time this whole self-quarantine, stay-at-home, flatten the curve coronavirus thing is maybe closing down, all of Picard should be there, so you should be able to go and stream all of that as well. CBS All Access. Check it out.
Very nice. Very nice. My next one is, I think it was a little-known show on FX. I never heard anybody really talking about it, but it's called The Strain.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
So The Strain is, I think it's Guillermo del Toro, and it is a fantastic, to me, bingeable. I like creepy stuff. We already know that. I dabble in the darkness a bit. And this show is it's a take on vampires, basically a vampire strain and an outbreak that happens, and the slow infection of the country and cities and how to stop the outbreak. And you follow the story of the doctor who's really trying to solve it and figure out what's going on. And who's getting infected and how can you tell and what are they doing and this whole story, and there's a mythology behind it because it's vampire related. And so there's this guy who's been around, he's like 90 years old and he's been studying this forever, and do you believe him or do you believe the science? And they team up anyway. So without spoilers, it's basically a zombie apocalypse show, but it's a vampire strain with kind of like a king vampire, you could say, who has a host body that it's creepy, and it's a little slow. I'll give you that. It's a little slow, but now that you can binge it, that doesn't matter. I had to wait week to week because I watched this episode 1, season 1. It's got like 3 seasons, so it's not super long, and it's good.
Cool.
And now you can stream on Hulu. I just had to look that up.
Hulu.
Or FX now, probably, if you have FX.
Mine's an easy one. This is not a surprise. Disney Plus, The Mandalorian. We covered it in a whole 8 sidekick episodes. But real quick, if you've been living under a rock, it is literally a Western in space following a lone gunfighter who's a Mandalorian. He's a bounty hunter. And it's all about the decisions he makes that lead him into a series of choices where now he's got to kind of be on his own and protect his quarry. And it's highly watchable. It's 8 episodes. You can binge it fast. Disney Plus. Don't miss out on this thing. It's fantastic television.
It is. It's great. I echo that. My next apocalyptic type show, I'm going to go with... Let's go with Lost in Space.
Ooh, I've heard good things about this.
Yeah, so this show is on Netflix. It's a Netflix original. We're a couple episodes into season 2. Season 2 just released on Christmas Day, I think. So we haven't been able to quite get through season 2, but season 1 was really, really good. And so far, season 2 is also really good. But it follows the Will Robinson family this is basically a remake of the old
TV show. Yeah.
But it's about a family who gets lost in space.
Nice.
You should watch it.
It sounds
isolation.
It sounds right up my alley.
You get all sorts of, you get it all. The show has a little bit of everything. It's got the family dynamics that make you want to cry, and it's got the high drama that makes you feel tense, and the betrayal that makes you feel angry. Everything that a bingeable show should have, this show has in it. You just want to know what happens next. How do they get out of this? So highly recommended. You can watch it on Netflix.
Okay. I'm going to I think that's already in my list. If it's not, I'm going to add it tonight. Because I am binging a show right now, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But I'm binging something I've already seen. So I need new stuff.
Okay.
Which is part of the reason, I know we're talking about some of our heavy hitters and our big recommendations, but I like that because that's something I can add to the list. Okay, here's my next one. This is a big one. Doctor Who.
Oh. Doctor
Who is perfectly bingeable. The nice thing is that it's on Amazon Prime right now. It's been on Netflix in the past, but it's Amazon Prime right now. So if you have Amazon Prime, but go and watch this. It's ran for 60, 70 years, craziness. But start with the 2005 kind of soft reboot. Starts with Christopher Eccleston as the Doctor. It's basically about a time-traveling Time Lord who finds his way into all these problems that only he can help solve. And they cover topics like, self-worth and community and society issues. And inevitably he carries along people with him that he brings from Earth, these companions. And they kind of help him see the humanity in situations. It is fantastic. I will say that the first season or 2 kind of has that feeling like the original Star Trek series had, where kind of it feels a little hokey because the budgets weren't super big. So some of the sets, some of the monsters, the characters look a little kind of corny. But as the show continued to go, it got really popular in America, and more people were watching it, and the production values increased, the money to the show increased, and it got better and better and better. Watch that. It's totally bingeable while you're stuck at home, and you're going to come across a conversation where eventually someone's going to say, "Who's your doctor?" And you're going to find that you identify with one actor or actress who's played the doctor more than the others, and that typically becomes your doctor. It is fantastic. Right. It's a great sci-fi show. Real fun. Just a good one to go.
That's something I need to watch. Of all the shows that you've mentioned, I need to get on that because I can't hang with all the Doctor Who nerds because I don't know what it is.
We call ourselves Whovians.
Oh, great.
And your married family, the family you married into,
I know.
They all love Doctor Who. That's how I got into it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have. But anyway, what else you got?
So, keeping in with the apocalyptic darkness, we're going to go... I've talked about this show before because this is a pretty recent show. The Dracula miniseries on Netflix.
Oh, yeah,
it's just 3 episodes long, but they're like an hour and a half. It's like watching a movie. And I'll say this, if you like Dracula, if you like darkness, and if you're okay with gore and some dark themes, then you'll really like this. It's TV-14, but it should be TVMA. Not because of language, but because the content is heavy. It's very scary. It's very creepy. He's very deceptive. It's really good. I loved this show. Jesse watched it, so it can't be that scary if my wife watched it, because she doesn't really like scary movies or scary stuff all that much. I end up watching most horror type things on my own or with a friend.
Right.
And you do see some male butt. Just before
I'm out.
If you want to see Dracula naked, this is a good show to watch. It's really, really great. So it's a creative and different retelling of the Dracula story that we all know.
Okay.
And it questions some of the things that we know about his reflection, right? And the sunlight, some of the mythology that we know about them and Van Helsing and their role in hunting vampires. So it's really good.
Nice.
It's
Netflix?
It's a scary one. Netflix, yep.
Netflix, okay. All right, my next one, The Simpsons. Go on over to Disney Plus. There's like 30, 31 seasons on there. This is the one show that I haven't seen all the way through. I probably watched the first 12 seasons without missing. And then I just kind of got busy with life, and then I just kind of forgot it was on. That doesn't mean I don't love it. Anytime I see a Simpsons quote, like the show's super quotable, lots of funny one-liners, really great comedic writing by a lot of really talented writers, and it's basically just it's a story that it follows this family, this just kind of suburban family, and it's just the foibles of this family, and the father and the mother and the son and the 2 daughters. It's just comedy gold for me. It's animated, so they can get away with a lot of stuff, but if you need something, 30, 31 seasons, whatever they're up to right now, that's a lot to stream, and you got time. Yeah. So why not have that on in the background and laugh a little bit while you're stuck at home?
If you're in Seattle, you might be able to finish the whole thing.
That's true. Disney Plus.
You're going to be in your house for a long time.
Yep. Disney Plus.
Very good. That's a good one. Another one I need to watch. All right, so I'm going to stay in the darkness for just one more. Though there are 2 more that could questionably be in the darkness that I'll talk about too. Darkness. This one is dark just by... it just is, and that is the show on Netflix, A Series of Unfortunate Events.
I've heard such good things about that.
One of Netflix's best and greatest achievements, in my opinion, shockingly underrated. The art style is some of the best that I've ever seen in a TV show. the way that they can capture kind of the mood in the way that the sets are done and the way that they use special effects. The actors and actresses are all going to be people that many of you are familiar with. It's about these orphans whose parents pass away in a fire, and the mystery surrounding the fire and their massive fortune that their evil uncle, Count Olaf, is trying to get from them, who is played by the brilliant in this show, Neil Patrick Harris.
Nice.
If you haven't seen this, which I bet most of you haven't taken the time to watch it, it is phenomenal. It is so much fun. I say it's in the darkness, but it's a lot of fun too.
Okay.
But it really is a series of unfortunate events. Like, don't think that it's not, because it is. Just because it's a TV PG book series that was made for children, like, it's a series of sucky things that happen to these orphans. It sucks, you guys, but it is so incredibly good and so fun to watch, and it's so well acted.
It plays. Does it play on your emotions that you have hope, and then they constantly dash your hope? Yeah,
they do, and they tell you that it's fun because they have a narrator who's Lemony Snicket, who is the the ghostwriter of the series, right?
Yeah,
it's as if he's writing this story, but he's part of the story. Anyway, he's narrating it, and he's like, "Look, don't have hope. If you want something happy, turn the TV off." It's so good.
Nice.
It's so fun. It plays with you. And the mystery is great. Significantly, from Jesse, at least, who's read all the books, significant improvement upon the books.
Okay.
So if you were disappointed in the resolution that you received in the books, it is not the same as the resolution you get in the series. It's very satisfying, or is it? At least in the way that this show can give you something satisfying. It's fantastic. Fantastic show.
Nice. All right, my next one is about another dysfunctional family. It is also super quotable. This is about the Bluth family and how, through a series of unfortunate events for them, they're always just constantly in this state of chaos. I'm talking about the show Arrested Development. This is streaming on Netflix. It is comedy gold. The first 3 seasons were brilliant. Then the show got canceled in its original run. Netflix picked it back up. They filmed a 4th season that, because due to where the actors were, they kind of filmed it and it was all kind of like out of sync. And so the 4th season didn't really have that feel of continuity like the first 3 did. Then they filmed a 5th season, but then Netflix went back in and did a super cut where they re-edited the 4th season so that the storylines lined up more like the first 3 and the 5th.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's one of my favorite all-time comedies. It is so funny. If you haven't seen it, now is definitely the time to get on board with the Bluth family. There's always money at the banana stand, and you can watch it on Netflix.
That's right. That one's in, I'm calling it my Holy Trinity at the end.
Right.
And none of you will be surprised by what's in my Holy Trinity at the end. But
Nope.
Arrested Development is in that. You've said it. It is brilliant. To me, probably the funniest show I've ever watched.
Yep.
And something that always makes me laugh harder than anything else. It's not my favorite show of all time. It's in my top 3, but it is, in my opinion, the funniest show ever made.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it.
All right. Moving on. I'm going to get out of the darkness. Woo-hoo! So we've talked about the apocalyptic darkness shows, though, again, there are 2 more on here that are kind of dark. Okay, we're going to go with one of my favorite shows ever, Psych.
Ooh.
Psych is on Amazon Prime right now.
Okay.
And it has 8 seasons. And it follows James Roday, the actor is James Roday, and he plays Sean Spencer, who pretends to be a psychic, who really is not a psychic. He's just a good detective. So he works as a contractor for the Santa Barbara Police Department with his partner, who, played by Dule Hill, is Gus. So it's Sean and Gus, and they solve these murders and these crimes and their interplay with the Santa Barbara Police Department. And the characters are crazy. They're over the top. They're a lot of fun. The show is fantastic. There's a romance. You have heard me talk about this show before on the podcast, and you will hear me talk about this inevitably again. It was originally aired on USA. I originally, when I heard about the show, thought this sounds like a dumb show that kids would like. Ladies and gentlemen, it is one of the most clever, funny shows you'll ever watch. It is so good. Every season is fantastic. So if you're itching to laugh and have a little bit of drama, and there are some episodes that are legit scary and intense because it's murder. Every episode is murder. It's a ride. It's a wild ride.
Breeda's always trying to get me to watch it.
You'd like it. I really think you would. It's really funny. It's very clever, too. It's very clever. Smart show.
Well, if I start watching it, we have to let Breeda know that it's because of her. Because if I watch it because of you, I get in trouble.
Fair enough.
All right, my next one also has Dule Hill in it. It's the first place I ever became aware of Dule Hill. It is the political drama The West Wing.
Oh, The West Wing, yes.
This is one of my all-time favorite television shows. It is written by Aaron Sorkin. He has this wonderful way of capturing this ensemble cast of staffers to the president. And it's kind of about it's not so much necessarily about the president and the presidency, although that is in there quite a bit, but it's also really about the staffers who work for the president and the struggles they go through to try to work in the Oval Office and work with Congress, but also their personal lives. It is a drama that won like about a gazillion Emmys, was always nominated for Best Actor, Best Actress, Supporting Actor, Supporting Actress, always up for Best Emmy in a Drama. It won just literally, it won Emmys right, left, and center. It's 7 seasons. These are full, 23, 22 episode seasons, and each of these shows was an hour long, so without commercials.
Wow.
On Netflix, it's about 42 minutes. I'm currently rewatching it. I'm just about to finish. I just finished the 3rd season. We've just started into the 4th of 7 seasons. It's one of my all-time favorites. I love it. Every few years I go back and rewatch it. It's on Netflix if you haven't seen it. And if you haven't really been introduced to Aaron Sorkin and his writing, get in on this. It is the pinnacle.
Fantastic. I have not watched it. Another show. That's a classic that I need to watch.
Yep. So good.
All right. So the next show I have is a Netflix original that's brand new, and that is Lock and Key.
Really? That's on the list.
I loved this show so much. There were times when I was watching that I went, man, I'm enjoying this as much as I enjoyed watching Stranger Things. I'm on the edge of my seat at moments like I was when I was watching Stranger Things for the first time. And I can see this not being everybody's cup of tea, but boy, this was right up my alley. Me and Jesse were constantly excited about watching it at night. We're like, let's get the kids to bed so we can watch another episode or 2 of Lock and Key. It's that good. It's fantastic. Magical keys, creepy villains. It's just a good show.
Nice.
I don't want to give anything away, so that's all I'm going to say. But go watch it. It's very mysterious and fun.
I'm looking at my list here, Matt, and I've still got 1,000 more things here, so I'm going to start dropping some off and kind of just hitting some of the bigger ones, because
perfect.
I literally, I'm looking, I'm I got 30 recommendations here. So,
oh man.
Community. It's on
Obvious.
It's on Hulu. It's obvious. We've talked about this. I don't think we need to cover a ton of time, but it's about a little community college and a study group. It is hysterical, very meta comedy. It is absolutely worth your time. If you haven't seen it, get on that now.
Yeah, this is in the Holy Trinity.
Yep.
Obviously. It's the greatest show ever made, greatest show anyone will ever make. It's fantastic, and I love it. And it is moving to Netflix as well on April 1st. Just
nice.
as a PSA to everyone.
Going back to Netflix.
Yeah, back to Netflix. It will also still be on Hulu, though. I'm going to start hitting some quick ones here. So I'm going to go with this. I believe that this show started it all. by that I mean all of my Holy Trinity comedies. And this TV show is Even Stevens on the Disney Channel, which is now available for you to stream on Disney Plus.
Okay.
This show, you would never associate Disney Channel with high quality programming. Let's not kid ourselves when it comes to live action. But Even Stevens is the exception to that. It is genre bending. It does a lot of what Community did, where it takes whole episodes and makes them something that they're not supposed to be in TV. Like, you know how Community can make you feel like you're watching a full-length movie about Dungeons and Dragons, and it takes you somewhere else. Even Stevens had the freedom and the creativity and the weirdness to do a lot of these things way before Arrested Development and Community were doing them. So it is a very, very, very funny show. It's absolutely absurd and ridiculous, like Arrested Development and Community. So if you're a fan of Arrested Development, Community, and The Office, I would recommend Even Stevens, whether you're a kid or you're a 70-year-old adult. The show is just well written, really funny. It's Shia LaBeouf's first gig. You get to see him be the silliest, craziest kid in the world. And trust me, you watch it and you'll go, this was in the early 2000s, like before anyone else was doing this, or late 90s, I think. Anyway, I think you'll be surprised. It's only 3 seasons.
Okay. I'm going to put 2 of these here together to start kind of speeding this up a little bit. Both are super feel good. These are not things you're going to watch to look for like scripted drama story.
Right.
There's nothing manufactured about this to try to I don't make you cry necessarily, but they're just, you watch them, you feel good. They're fun to watch. They're just soothing for the soul. They're both on Netflix. Queer Eye and The Great British Bake Off, or they call it The Great British Baking Show for Netflix. So both of those shows, 2 very different shows. One is a bunch of gay guys who go and make over people to make them feel better about themselves. The other is a baking show, which makes you feel worse probably about your own baking skills, but you just love watching these bakers do their best with the tasks they're given. They're both feel good. They make you just feel something inside that's positive. And if you're looking for something that's positive and uplifting during this coronavirus, quarantine, in your home time, these are 2 great shows.
Yeah, this is the first time. We did not talk about these lists beforehand, but you took one of mine that's not in the Holy Trinity.
Ooh.
And that is Queer Eye.
Okay.
You took it. Queer Eye is, and everyone on the podcast, again, if you're a dedicated listener, I've talked about it like the last 2-3 episodes. I love Queer Eye. It is feel good. It's like cry-worthy feel good. And Great British Baking Show, we talked about that forever, I feel like, last time too. We both love that show. All right. So I'm gonna go with I'm gonna mush 2 together as well. And these are not that similar, but I'm just gonna say them right quick, one after the other. High School Musical, the series. Disney Plus. If you're in the mood, just watch the first episode and it'll give you a good indication of whether or not this is your kind of show. It was just meta enough for me. It is not like High School Musical, the musical. I cannot stress it enough. It's self-aware. It's way funnier than it deserves to be. It has a way better story than you would ever think would be on a show called High School Musical, the series. The acting is better than it should be, and the music is incredible. And they're like real songs, not like High School Musical songs, like legit songs that you could hear on the radio and you feel something for them. And then the next show is Boy Meets World.
Okay.
I've talked about this one as well. If you have not seen Boy Meets World and you need to feel good, this show will make you feel good. It's very traditional, so I will warn you, if you're progressive in the way that you think, you may get irked every once in a while to how the show kind of leans a little conservative, but it's just traditional family values. The mom and the dad, the parenting styles, how the kids react to situations that are really hard and really difficult. One of the greatest shows that's probably been written just overall over, the 7 years that was on the air of these kids growing up and learning lessons. It's really good.
Nice. All right, I'm going to hit 2 that are on Amazon Prime. They're both, I think, really well scripted, really well done. They're a little bit different from each other, but Jack Ryan, political action thriller.
Yeah.
Very much that Tom Clancy. I mean, it's wonderful. Go see it. Plus, it's got John Krasinski, Jim from The Office, and it's fantastic. And then Good Omens, which was a book by Neil Gaiman.
Oh, yeah.
And that was real good. It's this kind of study between, two angels, one that works for basically kind of hell, a demon, and then one that kind of works for heaven, but they're trying to help stop the apocalypse from happening, but they're trying to work together, but not try to work together and not like let their respective groups know they're trying to work together. It's a great, fun dynamic. It's well acted, and it has one of my favorite actors in it. So go see Good Omens and check out Jack Ryan as well. Amazon Prime. Worth streaming.
Fantastic. All right, I'm going to give you the last two that are not in my Holy Trinity. These are obvious to me ones.
Okay.
And that is, one of them is streaming on Amazon Prime, and that is Chuck.
Ooh.
I have not yet finished Chuck. We are in the midst of it. I started watching it because of this podcast and the high recommendation that you gave it. And we love it. It's fantastic. It's so funny, really well done. So check out Chuck. If you haven't already, which maybe we were the last people on earth not to know that Zachary Levi was in Chuck before Shazam.
I've seen it. It's good.
It's so good. And then the last one, none of you will be surprised that I'm going to plug yet again, The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. If you haven't watched it yet, you're probably not going to watch it, but I'm going to try to bend your ear one last time. Please watch this show. You will like it. I promise you will like it. It's expansive. I've talked about this so many times. There's so much lore, storytelling, history. If you want to be taken to a fantasy world that lives and breathes and has its own history, depth, and mythology, this is the show for you. Give it a try. You'll like it. That's on Netflix.
All right. I'm going to go with my next one. This, I believe it's still on Netflix. Lost. If you haven't watched Lost, or if it's been a long time since you've watched Lost, this is a great bingeable show now. At the time, it was the show that everyone in America was talking about around the water cooler every week. But it's this show that a group of people on a plane crash onto this island, and they're trying to survive. And then all of a sudden, these weird things kind of start happening on the island. And they start happening to the people and to the island itself. And the show was J.J. Abrams and then like Damon Lindelof later. But anyway, it's one of those shows where it always leaves you with a question, always leaves you wanting more. So you'd come back week after week. But now you don't have to wait week after week. You can binge through it. I think there's like 5 or 6 seasons. I don't quite remember how many it ended. Maybe 5. But it's amazing. It's a great show. It's got a lot of actors that you've seen in places or seen in other things.
Yeah.
Lost is so good. And it's one of those shows that if you've never seen it before, you're going to get to the end and you're going to want to talk to everyone about it.
Yeah, I just checked. It's actually on Hulu.
Hulu now, okay.
So,
I couldn't remember which one because like it'd been on Netflix for years. Hulu.
Yes. All right, well, we've now reached my Holy Trinity, and I'm just going to run through these real quick.
Because you're going to hit a lot on my list, too, which then lets me kind of hit my last ones.
Yes, so I'm going to hit, obviously, or mention Community and Arrested Development, so we're going to go Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec, absolutely.
An obvious, if you haven't seen it.
Comedy
like,
gold.
What have you been doing
Comedy
with your
gold.
life? Then I've got Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yep. Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Great show. Andy Samberg is so great. Terry Crews, like, this is so funny. Melissa Fumero, they're all great. Gotta watch that show. For me, New Girl is really, really funny.
Never seen it. Yeah, so
Zooey Deschanel in kind of a unique role for her. Still quirky and kind of crazy, but it's very, very funny. When you watch that show, you'll recognize quite a few of the actors and actresses because they've gone on to do different things now, and that show kind of helped make them. But New Girl was on Fox. Now I think it's on Netflix. And then The Office, again.
Office,
another
yep.
obvious decision. And then the last one, which you just finished watching again with your wife, is Friday Night Lights.
Yep. I will also say, did you say 30 Rock?
I did not include 30 Rock.
So,
I forgot about 30 Rock.
I always add 30 Rock into like the big heavy hitters of comedy. It's,
Yes.
It's Community, it's Arrested Development, it's Parks and Rec, it's The Office, it's 30 Rock. I want to add a new one, I think, into that list. Well, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Goldbergs. Have you seen The Goldbergs?
I've seen The Goldbergs.
I
know where you're coming from with that. It's a very good show, but it's much more sitcom, Modern Family
it is
to me than it is like what I consider kind of that holy trinity of comedy.
It is, however, the nostalgia from the 80s mixed in with the family dynamic and like the family kind of humor, whereas like The Office and Parks and Rec and 30 Rock and Brooklyn Nine-Nine are all like people and workplace type humor. This is more like family at home humor. I'm adding that into kind of my big kind of holy trinity of comedy.
I think that like, and I think what you're about to say, these ones are, I call them easy to digest comedies.
Yeah.
The Goldberg, easy to digest, and I'm sure what you're about to say, which is probably How I Met Your Mother.
Yep.
I don't know if that's in there. That's one of the
always
easy
in
to
there.
digests. Yep. And then for me, this is actually the last one I have on my list is Last Man Standing with Tim Allen.
Oh, that's a real good one. Yep.
It's a really funny show. Definitely leans pretty heavy conservative, but it plays both sides well. It's a very funny show that is, again, easy to digest. Something you can have on in the background and you don't have to focus just on the show. You can be working at the same time.
All right, I'm going to hit a couple of my drama shows. So,
do it, because I don't watch dramas.
The Wire,
straight up.
The Wire, which is a police procedural serial that, like, it's a slow burn. Like, they really invented we start telling a story and we build and we build and we build, and by the time we get to the end, like, the story just ramps up. That is streaming on the HBO Go, HBO Now, depending on whatever your HBO, if you have HBO or if you don't. And if you have the HBO, you can also, I think, see that on Hulu with the HBO plugin or Amazon Prime, I think. So there's that. There's let's see here, Game of Thrones, which is also an HBO show. It's sword and sorcery. It's Dungeons and Dragons. It's great drama, well scripted. It's an adaptation of the high fantasy books, The Song of Ice and Fire. I've talked about that a lot on here, so I'm not going to go into that too much. The Newsroom, which is also an HBO show. It is Aaron Sorkin, so the guy that wrote The West Wing. He wrote a show about people that work in a newsroom who do a news television show, and kind of all the drama that's involved with all these people and trying to get the show on the air and reporting the news. And I think it's really kind of an interesting study because they try to get the news right and do it the right way for the right reasons. And that's good. It's not as good as The West Wing, but it's still really good in my opinion. It's worth watching. Let's see here. I think I'm just kind of going through and checking. Oh, the last one, kind of in this like more drama scripted stuff I'm going to add is Sherlock. That's on Netflix. It's a BBC. It follows obviously Sherlock Holmes, but it's Benedict Cumberbatch, and I'm just messing, and Martin Freeman, and it's really, really well done. So, a couple other comedies I'm going to toss on that we didn't get to. Seinfeld.
Great.
That would be a great one to binge watch as well. And then I'm going to hit my last two. One is a sci-fi show that I think everyone needs to watch. Firefly.
I mean, that was coming.
Obvious. And then the last one is a CBS All Access. So Firefly you can stream on Netflix. No. Is it on Hulu now?
I don't know. I'll fact check you while you're talking about the next one.
Yeah, fact check me there. Okay, the last one If you've known me long enough, if you listen to this podcast, it is a reality television show. It is on CBS All Access. The 40th season is currently on TV. Now would be a great time to catch up on Survivor. If you have not watched this show, it's a bunch of people that get dropped on an island. They get split into two tribes. Every 3 days, they have to compete against the other tribe, and the losing tribe has to vote someone off. They have to try to figure out how to work together to survive on the island. Also, they have to work on their social skills, working with other people, because they don't want to get voted off if they lose. Halfway through the game, they merge the two tribes into one, and then they have a competition every 3 days, and one person gets voted off. So it's this constant revolving social game and how people try to manipulate to get themselves out of trouble, and it's political, it's Machiavellian, it's also survivalistic, and it's got excitement because it's got challenges, and you think you may know who's going to get voted off because it seems super obvious, and then at the last second something happens and something blows up at tribal council and someone else goes home. It has got drama, it's got intrigue, it is my favorite of the reality television shows, and it is super bingeable because there's 40 seasons of it. It's only about 13 episodes a season, and you got time. You're sitting around at home.
Yeah.
Why not?
I met somebody, or I spoke to a friend of mine who is a Survivor fan, and I had no idea. They're like, oh, we love it. I'm like, wow. There's 2 people I know that actually still watch this show, and there's millions. I know there's millions. Yeah. I'm just not one of the millions, and neither is anyone in my family. But you are, and so is my good friend.
Time to get you hooked, Matt.
Firefly's on Hulu, by the way.
Okay.
So
Super Friends, man. That's our list. I mean, we've probably thrown a good 40 shows at you. So if you come to us and say, I don't have anything to watch, go back and listen to these suggestions again. There's a lot of gold there.
Yes.
Now, there's also a lot of other shows we didn't recommend that I think other people would, but I'd say with the exception of 3 shows on my list, everything on my list I've watched everything of.
Yeah.
So I'm recommending it because it's stuff that I've enjoyed.
Yep.
So just personal
Same
recommendations.
here.
And same with Matt. So, Super Friends, the question of the week for you is going to be real easy. What are you binge watching during this coronavirus pandemic shutdown? You're hanging out. You're watching stuff. What are you watching? We want to know. What are you into? Let us know at all the normal places. Email, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Call the voicemail number. Send us smoke signals. Carrier pigeons. Whatever. But we will talk about your answers next week. Matt, it's been fun. I feel like we got a lot of homework and things to go watch now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited.
Me too. Well, from all of us here at the Fortress of Nerditude to all of you out there, wherever you may be, may the Force be with you. Always.